It's more than just Zhengzhou, even though that being the capital city of Henan has consumed most of the attention. There are dozens of cities in that province of Henan and beyond in other provinces affected by this extraordinary dump of rain. You would have heard some Chinese meteorologists claiming that this is a once-in-a-thousand-year rain event. Well, I'm not sure if the records exist to verify that, but certainly they're saying this is more than a year's worth of rain falling in central China in just the course of a few days. And it's continued to rain as we speak. It's not clearing up anytime too soon. So incredibly destructive, incredibly damaging. And most of the vision that we've seen over the past couple of days has come out of that major city, Zhengzhou, which has about 10 to 11 million people.
Talk us through the extent of the damage.
Well, all that urban damage is really extensive. Of course, we've seen subway lines flooded. We've had those extraordinary images of people up to almost their necks in water in a flooded subway carriage, and sadly 12 commuters died. Others have told harrowing tales of smashing the glass in the subway because they were worried about suffocating from a lack of oxygen. It's just extraordinary, some of the rescue and survival stories. We've also seen cars floating down the streets. We've seen outside of Zhengzhou itself villages inundated with some major rivers like the Yellow River there in Zhengzhou bursting through its banks. So both rural parts of Henan and the big urban metropolises have been deeply affected, but it's those pictures we've seen, particularly from the cities, where it's just extraordinary. And one of the things with social media, of course, is you see all these horrific videos of, of people who have drowned or people who are struggling to swim. And, seeing that sort of stuff that's unfiltered on social media is very confronting. But also, too, we have also seen videos emerge of, just ordinary people jumping into these torrents of water to rescue people who are struggling. It is quite amazing to see these pictures.
And Bill, also on social media, we've seen citizens help each other out. There've been a flurry of messages.
Yeah, there really has. Henan, the flood situation there has consumed Chinese state media, but also social media, with people trying to raise money or raise any sort of assistance that they can. And we also have seen state media describe rescuers as heroes. And given some of the scenes we've seen, it's not surprising that so many people are affected by this, particularly too, as I was just saying, now with things like WeChat and so forth. Some of those really awful videos of people suffering, of literally of children sort of, getting caught up in the floodwaters and appearing to struggle to swim. Those are now just sort of floating around in Chinese social media, unfiltered, uncensored for at least the first sort of 28, 48 hours. So people are seeing really confronting scenes all across China. And I'm not surprised that there's been an outpouring of support and people trying to do whatever they can to assist.
Already there have been questions raised over the preparedness of the officials. What's been said?
Yeah, a couple of things. One of the main focus areas has been this subway where 12 people died, and questions are being asked about why the subway was still operating when there were meteorological warnings of huge rains to come. Some of the commuters who were on that subway said that the reason they were taking the train is because bus services had been suspended due to the wet weather, which had already started a couple of days earlier before that mass drowning incident. So there are questions not just about the keeping the subway going, but about the design of subway systems across China, whether or not they can withstand future flood events. No doubt more to be said about that. Also questions too about whether or not the meteorological authorities in Henan gave sufficient warning to the population there about just how severe this downpour would be.
And what about information on the death toll and casualties? Will we get accurate information about that?
I think it's probably fair to assume that it will be fairly accurate. When I last checked, it was above 30 now, but judging from some of the images we've seen, it will probably be much higher because these are very widespread floods. There may be some incentive for, say, local officials to downplay the death toll, but this is obviously not a political issue at all, and I would suspect that we'll get a figure that's fairly accurate. Either way, if you see those pictures, you know that there's a tremendous amount of devastation, not just for people who might have, say, lost family members, but also for people who've had their apartments flooded, their cars ruined, their homes destroyed in some of the rural areas. No matter how high the death toll is, clearly this is going to be an incredibly devastating and damaging event, and the recovery effort is going to take a long, long time.
Bill Birtles, thank you.
Thanks.